right, welcome back to another episode of Bet GPT. This is episode 68, and we are back for another fun-filled episode. Slade, I hate to, well, I don't hate this. I'm happy for you. I'm a little bit jealous. As a total for the six-pack, you're up 12.58 units, and I'm up
Wow.
2.96.
So I've made 6 times more money than you.
It's only 5.5, but yeah, we'll call it that.
No more arguing with me on anything. I don't respect your opinions anymore.
You have the right of way for all things we disagree upon, but for season 2 as a whole, we're up 6.6 units. And season 1 we ended around 8.88, obviously with some baseball stuff still pending. So a little bit of an asterisk on that. But yeah, good start to the season so far. Just pulling up. Last week you went 3-0 and I went 1-2. So obviously one of us needs to step it up there. But good start to the year. And I'm feeling good about my 3 picks this week. I hope you are as well.
I do. I didn't love the NFL board this week. I don't know if I'm guessing that's where most of yours fall.
All 3, baby.
Okay, I did all 3 college.
Okay, good. Then we'll have a good mix.
All right.
I guess we can start with college. Not a ton to recap last week. If we can just pull up the...
Well, there's one big thing that happened.
Sure.
Vanderbilt lost.
Here, silly me. I thought you were going to bring up the Quinn Ewers injury, but let's talk Vanderbilt. No.
Yeah, Vanderbilt was 2-0, and then they lost. Was it Georgia State? And they were like a pretty significant favorite. I think we could have taken the other side of that at like plus 320, and we didn't. But they've still got 9 games left, and we only need 1 win. But it would have been nice to just chalk it up as a quick W to start the season.
Yeah, and I don't know if you caught any of that game, but the fourth quarter was wild. Vanderbilt scored 22, and Georgia State ultimately got the game-winning touchdown with 15 seconds left. So they fell 36-32, but fear not. They'll lose for a couple weeks, no big deal. And we have October 19th circled. Ball State at home. That'll be the game that pushes us over. So
all right, we're fine. We're fine.
Yeah, we're good. Mentioned this earlier. Quinn Ewers went down with an abdominal injury. It looks like he's going to miss this week. We have Arch Manning slated to start. Obviously, big loss, but you're also bringing in Arch Manning. You saw him right away. Threw a touchdown pass, had like a 70-yard touchdown run where he juked out a safety. So he's obviously up to the Texas standard. But really, it kind of makes for an interesting decision because I was looking at Texas's football schedule, and they have a couple easy games coming up. So they have L.A. Monroe and then Mississippi State, who is an absolute joke. But then they're playing in the Red River rivalry against Oklahoma, obviously on a neutral field. And then they're playing Georgia at home. So October 12th and October 19th, they really got to get their quarterback situation figured out. If you're Steve Sarkisian of Texas, if Arch Manning looks amazing again, and then let's say he also plays against Mississippi State, is there a world where he's the starting quarterback against Oklahoma?
No. We don't need to overcomplicate this. When Quinn Ewers is healthy, he's going to have the job back. I think you can make the case Arch Manning might have the better NFL prospects, and he'll be the guy next year. But it doesn't matter for this year. Sarkisian is going to go with Quinn Ewers. He's the leader of the team. He is the guy who has won at Alabama. He's won at the Big House. He's won all these big games, and I don't really think, 6 quarters against G5 competition is really going to change Sark's mind a whole lot. I think if it were a big game this week or like a playoff game, I think Quinn Ewers would play. But they don't need to push him because, like you said, the schedule's a joke for another couple of weeks. And there might be a bye in there too. I could be wrong, but there's at least 2 weeks where they don't need him. And I don't even know if they need him for Oklahoma, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah, they do have a bye right before Oklahoma on October 5th. Yeah. So here's a question for you. Obviously, we think he's getting the starting role back. His odds for Heisman have dipped all the way down to 20-1, and Arch Manning's have shot up to 28-1. The 28-1, you can just throw that out. That's not happening. Quinn Ewers though, 20-1. If he only misses one game and he comes back, I think that's live.
I think so too. It sucks that game would be against a bad team. He get like 4 touchdowns and like 300 yards in the first half. But yeah, I mean, I think it's worth it because all of the other contenders are down in like the 5-6-1 range. So, I mean, if you actually want to take a longer shot, that's probably the best long shot left off the top of my head.
And especially, I mean, the Heisman, like, yes, stats matter, but as we've seen with awards, narrative every single year matters more and more. So if he has 2 good games against Oklahoma and Georgia, that's literally all it could take.
It's crazy what a haircut. It's crazy what a haircut has done for Quinn Ewers' rep. I feel like he kind of went from like everyone being like, this kid's kind of a douche, the long hair, enrolling in college early, transferring after getting all that money from Ohio State. But ever since he's gotten to Ohio State or Texas and got that haircut, it just seems like he's like viewed as like way more mature and like a leader and all of this stuff. So if in life you start to get a bad, here's our life tip. If in life you start to get like a bad like public persona that maybe you feel is unfair, just cut your hair. No one wants to make fun of the guy with the buzz cut. Okay.
Well, last time I got a buzz cut, I started crying. So if anybody doesn't know about about a year and a half ago, let's see, I got married last May, so it was like 4 months before that. I got my haircut off a Groupon because in Los Angeles, every single haircut is over $100. So I'm like, I'm just gonna go to Groupon. I drive like 2 miles to this random like house. It's in like the basement of this house. There's 2 chairs in there. One guy's working, another woman's working. I go to the guy. He cuts my hair for $40 and I tell him exactly what I want. And right as he starts, he immediately just buzzes like the center of my hair. And I'm like, that is not what I wanted. Long story short, I end up telling him to buzz it all off. I immediately FaceTime Slade and Tess, and I'm crying. So it was a bad night. So Quinn Ewers can pull it off. I cannot. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, he also has all the tattoos to go along with it, so that helps. But
okay, that's my
yeah.
next step.
It's
then,
the only thing that sucked about that is that it was 4 months away from your wedding. We needed that to happen like a few weeks before your wedding.
Yeah, it could have been left at the altar there.
They would push it.
Quinn Ewers 20-1 Heisman, not an official play for me. I'll probably end up betting it just because I'm a sucker for that sort of thing. I totally see him ending up on the podium. I don't know if he's going to end up winning, but that's where I'm at with that. Just to keep talking Heisman for a second, top of the board, Cam Ward from Miami is 4.5-1. Milrose 6-1. Jackson Dart 6-1. Dylan Gabriel of Oregon 9-1. Tennessee's QB Nico Yamalea 9-1. Carson Beck 14-1, and Miller Moss at USC 18-1. Anything jumping out at you particularly?
I like Nico.
Yeah, so he's 9-1. They play Oklahoma this weekend.
You know what's crazy is
shootout.
He actually, I'm gonna get that's one of my 6-pack plays. But Nico, his team scored 63 points or something last week, and he only had 1 touchdown. Like, if he was actually going for the Heisman, he could have by far the best stats. Tennessee's running back has 9 touchdowns this year.
That's unbelievable.
Because he just doesn't. When they get close to the red zone, they just haven't needed to throw the ball. So Nico has good stats, obviously, but they had 34 points in the first quarter last week, and he only had 1 touchdown in the game. So it just looking at the scores here, Tennessee, they've won 69-3, 51-10, and 71-0. For those doing the math at home, that is outscoring your opponents 191-13. So that's pretty good. Doesn't seem like that long ago the Hawks were in a highly contested bowl game against Tennessee. Yeah, that went really well. That game might have broke Iowa's defense because since then it's been looked kind of shitty.
Yeah. Oh man, that got up to 35-0. I forgot it was that big of a game. Yeah, that was a sweat-free Tennessee bet winner for me. But
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, I agree. I like Nico. Going down the board, there's not a whole lot. Travis Hunter, I know you don't like Colorado, but I do like Travis Hunter. They're just not going to win enough games. He'll be a good NFL guy.
Yeah, he'll wear down.
Um,
Kind of
yeah,
like
I
last year. You
mean,
didn't hear anything about him in November.
yeah, yeah. Okay, cool. Well, let's just get into the six pack then. We can start with the Tennessee Oklahoma game. I'm assuming you're on Tennessee, but what's kind of the handicap for the game?
So you mentioned there could be a lot of points. Um, and if this was a couple years ago, I would agree with that. I actually think Brent Venables has changed Oklahoma's identity, and they're no longer the Oklahoma we grew up with, or even the Lincoln. Obviously, not the Lincoln Riley era. Their defense is a lot further along than their offense. Brent Venables is a defensive coach. I think they actually have a pretty good defensive unit. Um, Unfortunately for them, their offensive line is pretty bad. Jackson Darnold, their 5-star quarterback, is running for his life a lot. They only scored like what was it, like 14 points or something against Houston. They've struggled. They have struggled um, in the running game as well. And like you would think that an Oklahoma team can run the ball, but they're not running the ball and they don't give him enough time in the pocket. He gets the ball out very, very fast. But a lot of that's not because he wants to, it's because he has to. Um, so my bet for this game, and I am going to take Tennessee -7, but for the six pack, I'm going to take Oklahoma under 24.5 points. I think Tennessee has a very good defensive line. They have probably the number one draft prospect. Like you said, they've only given up 13 points through 3 games. Yes, they've not played great opponents. NC State is a Power 4 team, but are not great. They're not as good as we thought they were, at least going into that game. So I think Oklahoma is going to struggle to score points. I think Oklahoma, if they're going to win this game, it's going to be forcing turnovers. They do have, I think they're in like the top 10 in the country in turnovers forced. But I think Tennessee is going to win, and I don't think Oklahoma can outscore Tennessee. I don't think Tennessee is going to go crazy and score like 40 points or anything. Um, but I would still take Tennessee, and I would even consider an alt.
Got it. Yeah, I think I'm going to end up betting Tennessee, especially just looking like you pointed out, like they only scored 16 against Houston. They beat them 16-12. They beat Tulane 34-19. This is going to be a huge step up. This is Tennessee's a top, 7-8 team when we look at the end of the year.
Yeah,
They're a playoff contender. So
going
yeah.
I would say going in Oklahoma's favor is at least it's at home, and it is going to be a rowdy crowd, and that is probably Nico's first true road game he's ever
Yeah.
played in. So you do have that. Like if Oklahoma's going to win, it's going to be like making Nico look human and tricking him into making some dumb mistakes and getting rattled by pressure and the crowd and all of that. But it's just hard for me to see that happening when they've been able to run the ball so well.
Yeah. Yep. I agree. Okay, so we have the team total under 24.5 for Oklahoma on the books.
Yep.
What you got next?
I am taking the under in the USC Michigan game. It's unfortunately when I checked before we started recording, it's down to 44.5. I got it at 46.5, and I think it was even closer to 48 at one point when it first came out. But anybody who has watched Michigan play this year, they look like I don't want to say but they just like can't move the ball. They have no vertical passing game. Alex Orji is going to start this week, and all he can really do is run. So all I hear when I see that is just tick 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 tick. Every I don't see how Michigan wins this game scoring a ton of points. I think USC will win, but I also think this is the first time Miller Moss is going to play an elite defense, and I still think Michigan is probably the top 3 or 4 defense in the country. So yeah, I still think we're going to see Miller Moss have his first um, you know, his dose of reality, I guess you could say. It's going to come against this defense, and he's probably going to struggle, and it's probably going to be close for a while. but I think ultimately USC wins, and I don't think Michigan can score over 20 points in this game. And that's with USC even being like not as good as they look versus LSU, but just like, you know, maybe somewhere in between what they were last year and what they looked like week one.
Yeah, I think if USC can put up 3 touchdowns and a field goal, I don't think Michigan's going to get anywhere near that 24. So, but I'm with you on this. I think USC wins in a low scoring game, and Michigan they're going to have to do a factory reset. I know they have like the identity like they're under Jim Harbaugh, but it's not the case anymore. You don't have a quarterback like JJ McCarthy who can get the job done. So things are not looking good for Michigan, but
They don't have any vertical passing game, so they tried to
yeah,
switch to Davis Warren. He sucked. He looked lost. So then they go back to Alex Orji, and it's just going to be this like ground and pound team, which is fine. But you know that Donovan Edwards is basically the backup there? He's not even the starter
I saw
anymore.
I saw he's been struggling. Yeah,
Yeah, he's not very good at. He's only good if like the play goes exactly as planned and he can just hit the hole and go. But he's not very good at like making things happen outside of like structure. So they've put in this other kid, and this other kid's been like 10 times better. They're like yards per carry. He's like doubling him.
yeah, that's pretty surprising. But with how their offensive line has been the last couple of years, that doesn't not I guess not too terribly surprising. I do want to point out our 6-pack. We have USC over 7.5. So this is a pretty critical game, especially since they've already beaten LSU. If they can pull off this game against Michigan, they will be cruising for the over seven
Oh
and a half.
God,
Even
yeah.
if they lose, I'm not worried. But this will be
Their
kind of the nail in the
schedule,
coffin.
their schedule is one of the more interesting ones, and just in terms of like the impact it has to the sport. Like they still have Notre Dame left. I want to say they have like Notre Dame or Nebraska left. They've they've got all these games that are still going to impact like how the Big Ten finishes and potentially playoffs. So they're kind of just a fun team to follow this year. But yeah, I feel pretty good about that one because that's 2 wins that they'd have that I don't think we could have comfortably said they'd have a month ago. They did have a bye last
100%.
week too, so like hopefully they should be coming into this game a little rested and a good game plan and ready to go.
Yeah, so I mean, they have Michigan this week. Next week is Wisconsin. We can talk about them for a second. They lost their starting quarterback to a torn ACL, so their season's kind of in the trash as if it wasn't already. So it's not like USC's looking ahead for anything. Minnesota after, and they don't have Penn State till October 12th. So it's all systems going. It's Michigan this week, and I think they're going to get the job done. Okay, third play. What you got?
I don't know if you saw this last week, but Kansas lost to UNLV. Kansas was kind of a darling coming into the season. They are now a 2.5 point dog at West Virginia. I think this is the day that Kansas breaks out and finally looks kind of like the Kansas we expect. They're at 2.5 point dog versus West Virginia. I took them money line at plus 106 on FanDuel. I think that they're the better team. I don't know why people think West Virginia is good. I think they kind of surprised people last year, so they got that boost. Like when the coach of the year for the NFL was always the coach who won more games than people thought. That doesn't necessarily
Yeah,
mean they were like actually like deserving of that. I think that's kind of what West Virginia was coming into the year, and we're seeing that they're really not that special. They did lose to Pitt last week. They lost to Penn State. The Penn State game wasn't even close. They have 1 win this year against Albany. Yes, I know Kansas has 2 losses, but UNLV did have like some weird pick six, like some fluky stuff happen in that game. Kansas the last couple of years has just absolutely destroyed West Virginia, so there's always that chance that they just match up really well against them in terms of scheme or whatever. Like every team seems to have like that 1 or 2 teams that they just have their number, and that's been Kansas over West Virginia. So I think that that's going to buck the trend. This game is in West Virginia. It's the noon game. I think that at a neutral site, Kansas probably would be like a 4 point favorite, because it's at West Virginia, I guess they're giving them a few points, and then I just think the line is wrong.
yeah. No, I think this is a definite get right spot for Kansas, and I know I bet their season over last year, so I followed them quite a bit last year. They got their quarterback back, so I don't see why we can't see more of the same this year.
And what happens if Illinois goes and beats Nebraska this weekend, and Illinois, who's ranked 24th right now, is 4-0? Then maybe that loss to Illinois on the road doesn't look as bad a week from now. I'm not saying that I would pick
Totally.
that, because I do think Nebraska probably will win. It's in Lincoln, but there is that chance that we start to reevaluate that loss differently.
It does help that Nebraska has Patrick Mahomes too, so I think
Yeah,
they should be to beat
he
Illinois.
has the same haircut, same glasses, same jersey number, same pregame routine, but he's definitely not doing it to be like Patrick Mahomes. It's just a
Yeah,
coincidence.
he had no idea. Yeah. Of course, it's a Nebraska kid doing it. That's the best part too.
Yeah, God.
Best QB since Taylor Martinez, though. Shout out NCAA football 2014.
Yeah, he's got a ways to go before he hits that level.
Yeah. Okay. Any other college football thoughts for this week, non-six-pack related?
Let's see. I took the under in that Illinois Nebraska game. I do think Illinois can make Dylan Raiola have his first test. I don't know how Luke Altmaier is going to score points against a pretty good Nebraska defense, and it's on the road. It's a night game tomorrow night. I'll take Nebraska to win. I do think it's going to be a close game, though, closer than a lot of people think. I would not bet the Nebraska -7.5 that's out there. I mean, Iowa plays Minnesota. I would say that game is not exactly a. If Iowa wins that game, I don't really think it's going to make people feel much better, unless it's like an absolute blowout. But I also think that if you lose that, then your season's kind of toast, because you're 2-2 with losses to Iowa State, Minnesota, and you have Ohio State in your next game.
Yeah.
That would be a big red flag, and the season can get out of control. So they're only a 2-point favorite too, so that makes me a little nervous. Oklahoma State will be a big one for the Big 12, but I don't know what to expect with Cam Rising, so I'm not betting it, but I'll watch it.
Yeah, I know Utah was favored, and it's been flipped to Oklahoma State, I think, because Cam Rising is potentially out. I guess no one really knows, so that'll definitely be interesting.
Yeah.
So there's this new sports bar that's in Los Angeles and Dallas. It's called Cosm, COSM, and it's this like virtual reality. It's in like a dome, so it's like the Sphere in Vegas, where you sit there and it like looks like you're actually there essentially. So there's like soccer games, so it looks like you're right like on the pitch. They're doing basketball, whatever. So I was looking at their schedule. They're partnering with NBC for Big Ten Saturday Night Football, and they're partnering with ESPN for their like primetime slot. For whatever reason, this bar picked to show Tennessee, Oklahoma over Iowa, Minnesota.
What?
Can you believe that?
That is
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, so
Oh my
now I'm stuck with nothing to do Saturday night. I have to watch it at home.
That's brutal. Well, you saved $100, so that's good.
That's true. Yeah, general admission is only $22 actually to go in there. So for standing room.
Would Tess
so
have gone with you?
She would have, but we're going to UFC 309 in November. So we paid $50 for that for general admissions. We're just gonna get there super early and sit in the high top. So more updates to come on that.
Gotcha. I only have 2 more plays for the weekend, or leans, I should say, not 6-pack picks. I think I said 2 pods ago, I took the Clemson number when I was watching North Carolina State get pounded by Tennessee for the game this week. I got it up Clemson -7.5. It's up to Clemson -20.5. So we got to you got to keep looking out at those books that offer games 2 weeks out, because if you're watching a game live and you're like, this team doesn't look very good, bet their future games that are available. I did that with Michigan 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago before they played Texas, and now I've got 13.5 points my direction for North Carolina State, Clemson. And then I think South Florida is going to cover the 17 against Miami. If you remember that South Florida game versus Alabama that we talked about, that game was South Carolina was down South Florida was down like 4 points with the ball at Tuscaloosa in the fourth quarter, and yeah, it got ugly at the end, but I think South Florida can at least make this a game with Miami. It's at South Florida, not that that matters at all. But I do like South Florida's quarterback. And Miami, I want to say they have a bigger game next week. Um, no, I'm wrong. They play Virginia Tech next week. So a game they probably at one point thought was big, but it's not anymore. But I think 17 is still a lot of points.
Well, that is a big game for us considering we have Virginia Tech over 8.5, which is not looking good. But
Yeah.
Okay. Got it. That's not a whole lot of action, I guess, this weekend. We called out all the ranked games. It's funny because there's still like some games where any other year it could be a good game, like Arkansas, Auburn, two, pretty solid SEC teams, but Auburn is just, I mean, they're 2.5-point favorites here, but I can't watch them.
Yeah.
I just can't watch them.
UCLA LSU will be a good uniform matchup, but an awful football game.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. And then of course Colorado.
Who do they play?
They're 1.5-point favorites at home against Baylor, so that's going to be an absolute battle.
Oh hell yeah! I actually think Baylor's defense is decent, but I don't think they can score like on anyone.
Yeah, it is a night game, so that's going to be fun. So between that and then another night game, Boise State has Portland State at home. So Ashton Genty, please go 6 touchdowns, 300 yards again. Just to remind everyone, we have him 10-1 to win the Doak Walker Award for a full 10 units. So that would definitely get me out of the basement here, and I'd be catching up with you profit-wise.
Oh, we forgot to mention this. TCU last week. Did you watch any of that game? I didn't, but I thought the game was over because if you look at the box score and like the scoring summary, TCU was up 31-13 with 5 minutes left in the third quarter and lost 35-34. They gave up 3 touchdowns and scored a field. They got outscored, by 18 points in the last quarter and a half.
You hate to see it, man. Just a team that was in the national title game just 2 years ago, already down in the dumps.
That was like a different world. I don't even consider that real.
What's Max Duggan up to? Is he still on a practice squad? Yes, it looks like he's still. Oh no, he's a free agent now.
Oh damn, he's at Verizon.
Tough scene. Yeah, dang. Max Duggan is doing my taxes this year. Looking forward to that. Hopefully he doesn't mess anything up. All right, let's talk NFL. So I don't know how much you want to recap from last week. I'm just gonna look through the list here and recap any major news and notes. If you want to interrupt me, feel free, and then we can go into next week's preview. Last Thursday, Bills Dolphins. Tua sustained a concussion. He's been placed in the IR, so he's gonna miss some time. So that division, I don't think the Dolphins really have a chance to win that division anymore. It's probably Bills or Jets. Vikings beat the Niners. CMC is on the IR. Deebo Samuel's hurt now too, so that's getting a little messy there. Saints dominated the Cowboys. That was pretty surprising to see. So they've played 75% of Derek Carr's snaps this year have been at a greater than 90% win expectancy. These games aren't even close. They're just coasting. They have Clint Kubiak as their OC that's just dialing everything up perfectly. Kamara looks like his 2019 self. Do you take a lot of stock in these first couple weeks? Do you think the Saints are a legit contender in the NFC or maybe just for their division?
For the division, definitely. For the playoffs, not yet. I need to see more. I do like the Clint Kubiak hire, but I don't know if I can jump them over a lot of the league. I mean, coming in, where did you have them rank out of the 16 teams?
I don't know,
10?
9.
Yeah. So it's hard for me to be after 2 games, I see them this high. It's not like the Cowboys are immune to having stinkers either.
Yeah. So I'll ask you this as a Bears fan. We can skip ahead to Sunday Night Football. Texans beat the Bears 19-13. Caleb Williams had absolutely no time on offense, running for his life, and yet they still got the ball down 6, had to drive the length of the field. Ultimately, didn't end up getting close, but still in that game. Texans could have pulled away, but Cam Akers fumbled at the goal line, so that helped a bit and ultimately helped the Bears cover. So I know, like, we'll see if the Bears struggles continue or not, but let's say you guys need a head coach next year. Going in, like, at the end of last season, Ben Johnson, the OC for the Lions, was like the hot name. But has Clint Kubiak already surpassed him just 2 weeks into the year? Is that someone you would prefer over Ben Johnson?
Well, I wonder if that bridge is not burned, but the Bears' final 2 candidates were Clint Kubiak and Shane Waldron, and they picked Shane Waldron. So if it's hard to
That's
be like,
true.
you know what, you're not good enough to be our OC in 2024, but you know what, we'll hire you as the head coach in 2025. That doesn't really feel right. Um,
Yeah.
so I would say Ben Johnson is still one, and that you never know who else will be out there. But um, yeah, hopefully it doesn't get to that point, but it's on the table.
Yeah. Okay. Just curious. Um, Packers without Jordan Love beat the Colts 16-10. Anthony Richardson is just all over the place. He'll make the best plays in the world, but can't complete like easy passes. So something to keep an eye on. Rams are completely decimated. They lost Cooper Kupp now and a couple other players in the secondary. Cardinals beat him 41-10. Kyler Murray, I have him comeback player of the year at like 20-1. He could potentially be an MVP candidate if they can,
Yeah.
rattle off 11 or 12 wins.
Chase
So they look
Daniels.
good.
Chase Daniel said that his first half tape was the best tape he's seen in years. Just of the first half,
Wow.
not the whole game, but he said his first half tape was incredible.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, now that they got MHJ back into the mix there, their offense should be looking good. Raiders beat the Ravens 26-23. Ravens have just been known to choke wins away the last couple of years. No reason to lose that game, but the Ravens find themselves 0-2, and so do the Bengals as the Chiefs beat them 26-25. Your idol Harrison Butker hit the game-winning field goal, so that was good. And I was surprised. I don't know if you were watching that game, but what's up with like that Joe Burrow fumble? They didn't even really show the replay. They're just like called it a touchdown, and then they're like, okay, we're good. We're just not gonna.
I was on the plane watching that on my phone, so I've actually missed the fumble, but like caught everything else from like the last quarter of the game.
Gotcha. No worries. And then let's see, Buccaneers upset the Lions. Lions, I think, went 1 for 7 in the red zone. I'm not sure if they can keep that up. It's
Yeah, I'm not.
Goff just needs to be better. Yeah. And then Monday night, Falcons beat the Eagles 22-21. Saquon drops a 5-yard pass that would seal the game. Probably catches that 99 out of 100 times, but he dropped this one. Kirk Cousins drives down the field, hits Drake London for a game winner. Falcons win 22-21. So pretty exciting NFL week. And yeah, I don't know. I feel like we're learning some, but we're still a kind of a
It's
couple
really
weeks away
hard.
from
It's
knowing.
really hard to evaluate anybody right now. I
Yeah,
feel more confused now than I did before the season started.
yeah.
Because you've got
No,
all
I
these
agree.
injuries and you've got all these teams that look extremely flawed. And like it's hard. Like I didn't think the Bengals looked that bad in that game. They probably should have won that game on the road.
Yeah,
But they're 0-2 now, so how much confidence can you really have? And then you've got the Cowboys who have an awesome week 1 and a terrible week 2. The Saints look like the best team in football through 2 weeks. It's some good things have happened though for our Seattle future because, like I said, the Rams are decimated and the Broncos look somehow worse than they did last year. So, and there's just been a lot of interesting trends. So I'm going to get on my soapbox here for a second about offensive line play in the NFL. If you've been
sure.
betting unders and you've been winning a lot, here's probably why. Through 2 weeks, this is the lowest number of passing touchdowns since 2006. You've had 69 passing touchdowns through 2 weeks. No rookie has thrown a touchdown pass, by the way. The average target for depth of target is 7.1, the lowest of all time. 41 design run plays, highest since 2008. There's the fewest blitzes on record. And there's just all these stats that are like teams can't run the football or pass the football. Like if you just go through the scores from last week, every game was in like the teens.
Yeah. Well, it's these defenses, they're not letting you beat you deep. They're not even really letting you hit you with like moderately deep passes. It's like if you want to complete like 10 passes on a drive, go on like a 12 play, 80-yard drive and paper cut us to death, so be it. Like prove it. Because guys like Anthony Richardson can't do that.
Yeah.
So that's why I still am fine with the Bengals because I think Joe Burrow can do it. Patrick Mahomes obviously can do it. I'm just going to kind of trust these elite quarterbacks for the time being to get the job done, which kind of leads me into my first pick from the 6-pack. I'm taking the Buffalo Bills team total over 25.5. I think Josh Allen and their offense, there's a lot of scrutiny for getting rid of Stephon Diggs, but they've looked good the past 2 weeks. I think they've been moving the ball at will. The Dolphins game last week was a little weird because in the second half, they didn't even really have to do anything, especially once Skylar Thompson came in. So I like them over 25.5 against the Jaguars. I watched the Jags-Browns game last week. I wasn't very impressed with the Jaguars. So we'll go ahead and give us something to sweat out Monday night. Bills team total over 25.5.
Yeah, that's why I've always thought like the Dolphins were never really a team that would work in the postseason because their offense is big plays and Tyreek Hill, and I don't think you can win championships where you're like so reliant on big plays. Like you in the playoffs, like you said, you have to have these long drives, and teams are going to give you that underneath route and make you do it 8 times in a row because all it takes is one holding, one false start, and you're on 2nd and 13. Or you're on 3rd and 15, and good luck to a young quarterback or a non-Hall of Fame caliber quarterback in 3rd and 15 in this NFL. I think some of it's just like the development of offensive linemen. And then I think some of it too is like the best athletes like growing up, like high school, college. I think they want to play defensive line. Like I think that you have to give some of the credit to like the defensive linemen are just better and like if you look at them, they're just freaks. Like these Myles Garrett types, like Danielle Hunter is a monster. I don't think that was something that was like as prevalent, years ago. I mean, these guys are running 40 times that are comparable to like skill players.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a really good point. I think that offensive line, like I know you texted me about this too, like it's hard. You can't just like fix your offensive line like overnight. There's not like if everyone's struggling, it's not like guys are just available to be traded unless you're giving up like a huge haul. So it's going to take a couple weeks for these guys to figure out the schemes and what they want to do. I think we'll see a lot of quarterbacks who maybe will have to move the pocket, do some more scrambling, just plays where you can get these guys some sort of clean pocket for at least a couple seconds to go down the field. So it's going to be interesting.
It's one of those things I don't think you can like. We always like say like teams can get better as season goes along. That's like the one thing that's hardest to find because I don't think you can just find competent O-line play. Every team in the league wants it. Every team is desperate for it and will take a risk on someone to see if they can get it. Like there's not even that many in the draft now. Offensive tackles are like how many of them go in the first round because teams are so desperate and they reach and like we're gonna start seeing misses on these guys. But now it's like no one drafts guards. No one drafts centers. There was one center or guard taken in the first round last year, and it was a center who went 26th. The first guard taken was 44th. And like that's with all these teams that have offensive line problems. That just tells me like they don't think these kids out of college can play. Because if you're the Bears or you're one of these teams that has no left guard, no center, no right guard, how do you not consider taking one of those if you can get the second best guard on the board at 45th? I mean, it's just. It just tells you like that they don't think that these kids coming out of college are very good or ready.
Well, we've even seen it like obviously tackles. A lot of tackles get picked. Kingsley Sumatea, the guy from BYU, the Chiefs took 63rd overall. He ended up getting benched already towards the end of the second half against the Bengals. So it's so hard for these rookies to step in and be dependable right away because, like you said, the defensive line for these other teams. It's just a bunch of freaks. These guys are insanely strong. And it kind of started with Aaron Donald. Everyone's like, we need to, be as explosive as him, just a total game breaker. So shout out to him for kind of paving the path there. Yeah, I don't know. You have anything else you want to talk about offensive line wise?
No, not really.
Okay.
I just think it makes everything hard. If you can't run, if you get penalties, I mean, you don't have enough time for a route to develop. Nothing will look good, and nobody around you will look good if you can't do these very basic things. I've seen it with Iowa, and I've seen it with the Bears this year.
Yep, well said. Okay, let me go into my next pick here. We are going to we're going to go over to the Packers game. So the Packers, Jordan Love has obviously been out with an injury. He has practiced the last 2 days though. So we're recording this on the 19th. He's practiced the last 2 days. I'm just going to take my chances right now, and I'm going to bet the Packers at plus money because I don't think it's going to be plus money come Sunday morning. They're at plus 120. I probably should have got this a couple days ago, but it's at plus 120. I'm taking the money line against the Titans. We've seen Will Levis. The dude is a disaster. He single-handedly lost the game against the Bears week 1. They probably could have just kneeled it the whole second half, and it would have been a closer game. So I'm going with the Packers money line here. They look good. Last week with Malik Willis at QB, they proved that they can just run the ball Jacobs 30 plus times and not really force anything. So if you're just asking Jordan Love to kind of make maybe 10 to 15 throws instead of the normal like 25 to 30, I think that's more than manageable. So I'm going to go ahead and take the Packers at plus 120 here.
I was leaning that way too, but I just don't like putting money on Green Bay.
Yeah.
Malik Willis is 1-0. Jordan Love is 0-1. We're a couple weeks away from some QB controversy in Green Bay. So
yeah, definitely. We'll have to get resident Green Bay expert Brady Ellingson on the podcast to discuss that. All right, next up, this is going to cover 3 games here. I'm doing a 6-point teaser. So for all of you that have been playing Survivor, it's been a total bloodbath the first 2 weeks. There's been many upsets. Obviously, we saw the Bengals lose week 1. We saw the Ravens lose last week. That knocked a ton of people out. Eagles on Monday night, just to name a few. This week, I think that the favorites are going to win. So I'm going to do some teases here, or a tease. The first one, Buccaneers minus 6.5 at home against the Broncos. It's a 6-point teaser, so we're teasing that down to a half point. They're not losing to Bo Nix. Bo Nix cannot throw. He's not ready to play. You saw him at Oregon. He was just dinking. He was just throwing like these short passes, which obviously I know we just talked about that's what's needed to win in today's NFL, but then they'll just give him the deep shots and he won't be able to hit them. So
he's like 30 years old. He's not good.
Yeah. Taking the Bucks there. Next up, I'm taking the Niners minus 7 down to minus 1 on the road against the Rams. Obviously, the Niners have had injury concerns, but they still have Ayuk. They still have a healthy George Kittle. Jordan Mason looks good. They've been here before. Their guys are always injured, but the Rams are way, 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 way more unhealthy with Puka out, Cooper Kupp out. They're starting wide receivers like Robinson and Whittingham. So those guys are not gonna.
Texas. Yeah, Jordan Whittingham was a running back recruit for Texas, and then got hurt like 3 years in a row, and was a 5th-year guy, and then now is in the NFL. Was like barely on a team. He's not.
Well, he's just their gunner. He's just a special teams guy that's now going to get 40 snaps at wide receiver.
He has got to be one of the worst wide receivers in the league. So prayers to Matthew Stafford, and that's no disrespect to Jordan. But it's there's a reason he was a gunner only.
Yeah. And then next up, the last pick of this teaser, Monday night. I don't love it because it's 7.5, but we're teasing the Bengals down to minus 1.5 against the Commanders. I just don't think that's going to be a close game. Ultimately, I'm still in Survivor, so I think that's just going to end up being my pick. So we're taking the Bengals down to minus 1.5. I think the Commanders, they're just so, I don't know. They're just not ready to win. Daniels obviously is explosive, but Terry McLaurin has like 36 receiving yards this year. He's not even getting him involved. Brian Robinson looks good as a running back. Eckler looks decent, but I can tell you that they have no defense. I think Burrow with T. Higgins coming back, they're really going to be able to put up some points. So
Yeah.
that'd be my advice. Take him for Survivor, put him in a teaser. And the interesting thing you can do also is if you want to put together a ton of teasers this week with the Bengals at -7.5, since they're the late game on Monday night, and if you hit all your teaser legs like Sunday, you can just bet some Commanders plus 7.5. You can find yourself a very nice middle potentially in that game. So that's something I'll probably end up looking towards doing.
Nice. Yeah, I think I feel bad for anyone who watched that Commanders Giants game last weekend. I was in a group chat with a Giants fan and a Commanders fan, and it was just like not even the battle of it wasn't even a mid off. It was just like two awful teams. I don't even know who won because it doesn't really matter. But yeah,
the Commanders won because the Giants didn't have a kicker, so the Giants were like the first team in NFL history to score 3 touchdowns and still lose a game, like without giving up a touchdown. I'm not even sure how that's possible, but they pulled it off. So
yeah, that's hilarious.
If your kicker's not healthy and you don't have a backup and you don't trust your punter to kick the extra points, shouldn't you at least spend a lot of time like having great 2-point conversion plays? They went 0 for 3. Clearly they weren't good. All you needed was 1 to win the game. So
earlier I mentioned like coaches who won Coach of the Year that just kind of like exceeded expectations for year. That's Dable. He's not even going to be employed in a month from now, probably. And 2 years ago, he was the greatest thing since sliced bread. It's funny how that works. So I know you're the NFL draft expert, and I haven't paid attention to this upcoming draft class because the Bears aren't number one anymore or number one pick anymore. Who's going to be the top quarterback taken? Like if you're the Giants and you want to move off Danny Dimes, who is there?
I think it has to be Quinn Ewers. Wow. I mean, like who else is there? Shedeur Sanders. You can't tell me he's going number 1. There's too many. I don't even want to say it's like character concerns because I do think he's a good kid. It's just there's too much distraction. You don't need all that drama with him.
Throwing your teammates under the bus. Yeah, I don't know if I'd want that.
Yeah.
I was trying to think about like I don't know who is the guy. Like usually there's like 2 or 3 guys, and then as the season ends, we kind of start talking about who's going to be number 1. Other than Ewers, I don't know who here is like a surefire first round pick even. Like I've heard it's thrown around, but he's played 2 games.
Carson Beck, obviously, just because you
Carson Beck. Yeah, you kind of have to. Yeah. I mean, Dylan Gabriel is a Heisman contender, but he can't. He's like 5'8", so you can take him off the list.
The top of the board is going to be interesting because non-QBs, there's great players. Travis Hunter, his game's going to translate to the NFL. Will Johnson, the cornerback in Michigan. James Pierce, the edge from Tennessee, you mentioned. So those 3 guys are good. The wide receivers, Luther Burden of Missouri, and then the kid from Arizona as well. So a lot of talent. Milroe, I guess. I just pulled up a mock right now. This is amazing. Fox Sports mock, 13th overall, the Cleveland Browns select Jalen Milroe. Let's go, baby. Bring him in. Jalen Milroe, he is the slowest decision maker ever. So he's a one-read guy. And in the NFL, that's impossible. Yeah, he's got great legs, but we'll see if DeBoer can like improve him this year. Because if he's anything like last year, he's not ready for the NFL at all.
He would need a Michael Penix level ascension as a passer. And I don't know if you can coach accuracy to the point that Penix was accurate. I would almost be tempted if I'm one of those teams to trade and try again the year following, because I think there's arguably more talent in the class of 2026. 2026, because you're going to have Arch Manning, who I think we all assume will be pretty good. And then you have Nico at Tennessee right now. like
Yeah.
some of these top college quarterbacks are only like true sophomores. So I would like to, roll the dice maybe if no one comes out of nowhere.
Yeah. And I would like to say, speaking about, you brought up Nico. Where is my on on the 4th of May 2023, I tweeted with the first overall pick of the 2026 draft, the Browns will select Nico Lamaleva from Tennessee. So hopefully we don't have the number 1 pick, but I do think he is going to go number 1 in 2026.
Or what you want to do is you get that pick via trade like the Bears did. So then you don't have
Yeah, that's that would be very nice to pull that off. Let me know how that's possible. Can you believe the Bears still have the Panthers' second
yeah.
round pick? That's probably going to be 33 or 34, 35.
And that Justin Fields pick is moving up 2 rounds because he's probably going to hit the number of games.
Yeah. Shout out Ryan Poles. That's how it's
Yep.
done.
Yeah, he didn't have a perfect offseason, but he gets the big things right, and that's most important.
Yeah, 100%. A couple other games this week that are good. We have Chargers Steelers. I guess both teams are 2-0. It's crazy. One of those teams is going to be 3-0. I think the Steelers are like -1 there. I'd probably lean the Chargers, but Justin Herbert is a little banged up.
Yeah.
I wanted to get your thoughts though on Ravens Cowboys.
Well, first of all, the Chargers are staying in Charlotte at the building next to me. So yesterday I went for a walk, and one of the coaches was out on a walk. So, and I was wearing my Bears shirt, so he kind of did like a double look. But I don't know where he was going. I told you guys I thought he might be going to Chipotle. He was walking that direction. I don't know if he actually went inside, but he was walking out there, and there's only like 2 or 3 food places if that's where he was going. So, yeah, no real insight on anything, but just NFL coaches just walking around by me this week. I have not seen Harbaugh. I don't know where he is, but I was hoping to see him.
Wouldn't be the worst idea in the world for you to maybe set up the pod outside and just maybe pull up 2 chairs and join anyone walking by if they want to hop on, share some knowledge.
There is like an outdoor seating area at this hotel. And like sometimes like the homeless will sit out there and just like loiter for like 8 hours. I'm sure they'd let me do it. I could just sit there on like the thing, and when someone walks by, I'm like, "Hey, Jim."
That'd be so funny. Homeless people can do it, but like a nice, clean cut guy minding his business, they're like, "Get the hell out of here, man! You don't belong here." That's funny. All right, Ravens Cowboys. So Ravens 0-2. I cannot possibly imagine they're going to be 0-3, but I said the same thing about the Bengals. Ravens are -1.5 on the road. You have any leans in this game?
I trust the Cowboys more, which is crazy. I don't trust either of these teams, but
I don't either.
I would not bet on these. If I were going to bet on this game, I'd probably bet on an alt, because one of these teams is probably going to blow out the other team, or it's going to be really low scoring or really high. I don't see a way where this is just like a middle of the road, like this team wins by 1 or 2 points in the 45-ish point game. I don't see that, or 45-point total game. I think it's going to be something weird is going to happen, because these are 2 teams that are always playing in those type of games.
No, you're totally right. Looking at alts, like even if you just want to take Cowboys -2.5, if you think they're gonna win, that's already up to +116. So
I would probably bet that, because 2.5. I mean, that's the same as betting them money line, basically.
Yeah. Okay. What about Bears Colts? What are your, I guess, expectations for this game?
The Colts have the worst run defense in the NFL, and the Bears have maybe the worst, at least interior offensive line in the NFL. So something's got to give here. Either the Bears are going to have some success running the football, or the Colts defense is going to like. I think the Bears are going to score more points this week. I think we're finally going to see a passing touchdown. But I don't feel confident in the game, just because I've gone down this road too many times. Like, I don't know what to think about Shane Waldron. He has not really impressed me. I mean, having Cole Kmet on the field 50% of snaps week 1 doesn't really make sense to me. I don't even know what's going on with Keenan Allen. I don't know what percent healthy Rome Odunze is. I don't know if Caleb was in an ice bath long enough before last game. So there's a lot of things that I don't really know, but I still think they're more talented than the Colts, top to bottom. But Anthony Richardson is such a wild card. He could play a great game or he could look terrible, and it wouldn't surprise me.
Colts are pretty banged up too. They have their first round pick, that defensive end out of UCLA. He's banged up.
Yeah.
Buckner's hurt as well. So I think that defense is gettable. I was looking at snap counts last week. Jonathan Taylor, I didn't realize this. He was off the field for quite a bit of the game last week because his run blocking is so bad. Or excuse me, his pass protection is so bad. So I'm wondering if potentially teams will start picking up on that and maybe start blitzing a little bit more when he is in the game. Yeah. So something to keep an eye on there. Sunday night game, Chiefs Falcons. That should be a relatively good game. Chiefs are -3.5 on the road. It's, they lost Pacheco last week. He's going to be out probably 6+ weeks. They signed Kareem Hunt and a couple other running backs. I'm kind of a mismatch there in the backfield. I would assume the Chiefs win, but I don't know. The Chiefs are another team. Like, they could easily be 0-2 as well. It's the NFL is just a total toss-up.
Maybe you just buy the half point and you go with the Chiefs -3, or you live bet it if the Falcons score first or pick up a couple first downs to start the game. I'm definitely not taking the Falcons side in this because other than 10 minutes this year, the Falcons have looked absolutely awful. Like, they've played 120 minutes of football this year, and they've looked good for 10 of them. And I'm not even sure if Kirk Cousins is going to be the starter a month from now. So I don't know what to make of them. But yeah, I don't love the 3.5. Obviously, that's a shitty hook.
I wonder what the line would be if the Falcons didn't drive down and score to win the game against the Eagles. Like, just one thing goes wrong, one drop pass. Like, could this be like Chiefs -6.5?
Yeah, it is crazy how one play in a game affects future lines and everything. Like, if that kid for Iowa State doesn't hit a 54-yarder, is Iowa only a 2.5-point favorite against Minnesota? Probably not, but it happens. So we kind of react to the results we've already seen.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so I'm pulling up some season awards here. I just want to roll through this and then we kind of close things out. MVP, Mahomes +260, Josh Allen 5-1, CJ Stroud 5-1, and then it drops down Jalen Hurts 12-1, which is not happening. Brock Purdy 20-1, Joe Burrow 20-1.
I know which one you like. Brock Purdy.
I already bet it, baby. I got him at 22-1. But
see, there you go. Because
I've changed my tune. I like CJ Stroud at 5-1. I already got him at 8-1 preseason, but he looks really dang good. I just can't imagine it not going to Mahomes, Allen, or Stroud. I really can't. Maybe Burrow. That's it for me though.
Yeah, I agree. It's put it this way: Purdy has the path to get there because now that he's down all these players, like if he balls out, you're not going to hear that like, oh, well, he has CMC and he has Debo. But on the other hand, because he doesn't have those guys, he probably won't look as good, so he probably won't win as many games. He probably won't have the stats. So it's like he has a more difficult path ahead of him, but if he accomplishes it, then, he can make a jump, but I don't see it.
Yeah. He's still got Shanahan, though, so that does help, obviously.
I don't think they're going to fall off by any means, but I don't think he's going to be – we're going to be talking about him every week.
Yeah. All right. Offensive Player of the Year, CeeDee Lamb, 750, +750. Justin Jefferson, 9-1. Saquon, 9-1. Tyreek Hill, 12-1. Nico Collins, 12-1. Bijan and Breece Hall, 14-1. How about Alvin Kamara, 17-1? He's jumped up the board quite a bit. Amon-Ra, 20-1. And then the first quarterback, Josh Allen, 22-1. Any thoughts on this market?
Well, last Sunday was like the first time I really watched Nico Collins super closely. He's a lot better than I realized. He's a lot bigger than I realized. He's
He
like
is
a
big, yeah.
he is like a tight end with like wide receiver skills, and he is a mismatch for just about anybody. So I was really impressed with him. I'm not saying I bet him because I do worry a little bit about like would Stroud pull votes from him, that type of deal. But um, I mean, I don't feel as good about our Brees Hall pick. I know it's early, but he hasn't really set the world on fire. Um,
No.
I think Saquon is going to be really trendy, but I also just feel like he's going to do what he always does and like get hurt or just like fall off the grid for a month. Um, so I don't really love any of those. I think CD Lamb isn't a terrible bet, but I just wouldn't make it right now.
Nico Collins went 89th in 2021 draft. Before him, wide receivers Amari Rogers, Diami Brown, Josh Palmer, Terrace Marshall, Rondell Moore, Elijah Moore, Rashad Bateman, Kadarius Toney, Devonta Smith, Jalen Waddle, Jamar Chase. So those three. That's just crazy value at 89, and you have to think it's because Michigan's offense was so bad that they couldn't get
Yeah,
him the ball.
yeah.
So
Thanks, Cade McNamara.
yeah, exactly. It all goes back to Cade. So yeah, I do like Nico 12-1. I like Kamara 17-1. Maybe I still think Justin Jefferson's going to be live at 9-1, especially if he's putting up big numbers and it's with Sam Darnold. I think that gives him a bump.
Yeah,
CeeDee Lamb's going to have the most catches. It's just a matter of if they want to vote for him.
I
So
think I would. I think I'd rather bet the Justin Jefferson than the CD Lamb, but I'm not jumping in the market yet.
yeah, I agree. Okay, AP NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year. We have a tie at the top, all plus 320. Marvin Harrison Jr., Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams, and then a drop off to Neighbors 6-1, Brock Bowers 16-1. Can't imagine it's anyone else.
What about Brian Thomas Jr.? What is he?
He's 30-1. So the wide receiver for the Jags, he is a big play waiting to happen. He's a really good
I
player.
actually think he's pretty good. I don't think he'll win, but I think he should probably have better odds than 30-1 when you
Yeah.
consider that Marvin Harrison Jr. did legit nothing week one, and Caleb and uh, Jaden Daniels have not thrown a touchdown pass.
Yeah. I agree, and that almost makes it seem like what if Drake May? What if he sneaks in? If he throws, 3 touchdowns in his first game back, if he plays somewhat soon, he might not be that far behind Daniels and Caleb Williams, and he's at 50-1. Same with Penix at 60-1, but
Right.
you got to rely on some outside things to happen. Bo Nix, I bet on him 25-1. I can go ahead and tear that up. He's 43-1 to win.
Yeah. So Brian Thomas, game one, 4 catches, 47 yards, a touchdown. Game two
Yeah.
against the Browns last week, he had 94 yards. So, I mean, he's got 150-ish yards and a TD. He should probably be better than 30-1. But again, I would not bet him just because I don't think he can actually win it, even if he's in the top three, top five.
Yeah. No, I agree. Okay. Next up, we have the defensive rookie of the year. This one, I mean, I feel like there's way too much to learn here. Jared Verse plus 320, Byron Murphy's plus 650, Dallas Turner plus 650, Latu 11-1. Maybe this is a market where we could look further down the board potentially if someone were to step up, but you saw it last year with the kid, the defensive lineman from the Rams. He potentially had the best year, but they still went with a guy who was higher picked.
Anderson.
So
Did Anderson
Anderson,
win?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I don't have any thoughts on this
Late
market.
two or whatever was the everyone's darling, and now he's hurt and he's at
Yeah,
11-1.
yeah.
Hmm.
I don't know. Where's my boy Koopy DeJean? Does he even play? He's
He
hundred
hasn't
to one.
started. Yeah, he hasn't started yet. He's doing only special teams.
Weird. Okay. Comeback player of the year: Aaron Rodgers plus 185, J.K. Dobbins 6-1, Joe Burrow 650, Cousins 650, Kyler Murray 850.
I hope it doesn't go to someone like Kirk Cousins or Joe Burrow. I think that would be kind of lame. J.K. Dobbins has been hurt like how many years in a row? Like that's a better story. Aaron Rodgers obviously is a better story. And then Kyler Murray, not only did he have injuries, but he also had like bad performance. I think that actually matters too. I want to see it go to somebody who didn't just recover from an injury.
You want the combination of they sucked and they
I
came
want
back
someone
from
who like
injury.
people actually were like dogging. Like Sam, like I don't know if Sam Darnold would be out, but you know what I mean? Like someone who like actually improved. Because like the NFL doesn't have a most improved like the NBA does.
Yeah, that's a good point. Maybe they should introduce that and they could have two separate things because like Nick Chubb is still at 30-1. He's supposed to come back week 5, supposedly. If he ends up being that like legit RB1, I think that could be live, but that's still a lot to ask. Some of these on here are just so stupid. Anthony Richardson 17-1. That's lighting money on fire. Would never do that.
Okay, Joe Burrow, comeback player of the year. He's a 20-something-year-old who got hurt. We've seen him take a team to a Super Bowl and be an MVP candidate. How is he a comeback player of the year? We know he's good. He just can't stay healthy.
Yeah.
He didn't prove anything different to us. I don't understand that concept. It's basic because otherwise you're just making this a who came back from an injury and performed well. That's a dumb award idea.
Yep. I agree. Okay. We can close it out here with these last two awards. Coach of the Year, Jim Harbaugh plus 650, Mike McDonald of Seattle 850, Kevin O'Connell 10-1, Mike Tomlin 11-1, Gannon 13-1, DeMeco Ryans 14-1. I will say we have, it's not an official 6-pack play, but I did talk about this quite extensively. Mike McDonald was around 18-20-1 preseason. I think Seattle, they're 0-2. I think he's definitely live. Obviously, the Chargers look great, that culture. Whether you like him or not, Slade, Harbaugh's the man. So he's turning that team around. And then Tomlin's got the boys 2-0 somehow. So
yeah, where's Dennis Allen?
Dennis Allen is unlisted. Wait. No.
Did they fire him,
Should
or
be
am I
next.
just?
No, Dennis Allen's 14-1. So here's what I was going to bring up to you. Clint Kubiak, NFL Assistant Coach of the Year, is plus 340. Is that a bet on? He's plus 340. Drew Petzig, the OC for the Cardinals, 10-1. Ryan Grubb, 11-1. Brian Flores, 11-1. Bobby Slowick, 14-1. Ben Johnson, 14-1. 340 is
That's not a good number because like Bobby Slowick and Ben Johnson, like that's just too many guys in that camp.
I do not hate Bobby Slowick at 14-1, especially if you think the Texans are going to continue to be
like
good
if you're saying
offensively.
Kubiak is 4-1 and Bobby is 14-1, I'd much rather take Bob because also I know his is sustainable with the Texans when I don't know what the Saints are actually going to be a month from now.
Yeah. Interesting. So I think what we'll do here with season awards is maybe like every 2 weeks, we'll kind of just run the gambit like we just did here. It's kind of a lot to do it week by week. Or maybe we can have a separate, 20-minute show kind of thrown into the mix. They also do have, let me know your prediction here and I'll give you the number here. FanDuel has 2024-2025 Super Bowl winner / AP regular season MVP winner parlay. Who do you think is winning the Super Bowl and who is going to be the MVP of the league?
Just give it back to Mahomes and the Chiefs.
That's a very interesting market. Like Mahomes, it's like just pick your team. Mahomes and the Ravens, 50-1. Mahomes and the Bills, 35-1. How about Mahomes and the Bears? That'd be perfect for you, 170-1.
I would probably do it where I would probably do Chiefs Super Bowl and Allen MVP.
Okay. Chiefs Super Bowl, Allen MVP. So that would be, let's see here. I wouldn't hate that either, especially because I don't know. I just don't know if Mahomes cares. It doesn't matter if he cares or not because he's still going to be in there to win. Chiefs and Josh Allen, 33-1.
That's not bad at all because you said Josh Allen is 4-1 to win MVP.
Yeah.
And so you're getting some pretty good juice on the favorite to win the Super Bowl.
I guess he's 5-1, and the Chiefs are 5-1 also to win the Super Bowl. So I wonder if you just parlayed those, what price are they giving you?
I don't know the math on that, but that seems like they're giving you a little juice.
Yeah, I can take a look here. But yeah, if you parlay those, or are they not accepting parlays? Yeah, they're not letting you parlay those. That's dumb. Okay. But I will say FanDuel, the Discord that I'm in, FanDuel lets you parlay up to 3 awards. So I know for MLB guys, we're doing that all year.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for example, Josh Allen, MVP, Justin Jefferson, Offensive Player of the Year. And then let's say you want like Caleb Williams, Rookie of the Year, any of the top 3 guys. Like, you're parlaying that at 250-1. $10 wins 2,500. So if you have $100 to throw around, maybe just make $25 parlays and kind of see where it goes from there. Especially if you have some conviction with a guy with a big plus number.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I might have to take a look at that. Yeah, they won't let you. That's dumb.
Yeah. But like even like Nico Collins, Offensive Player of the Year. Let's say Stroud. If it's just those two just balling, oh, they're not letting you parlay them because they're on the same team. That's dumb. That's really stupid.
I might actually take that Chiefs Bills bet because I do think like it's not that Mahomes doesn't care, but Allen's going to have more opportunities to play Superman because he has to because his team's not as good.
Yeah, that's the thing, and like their division is probably going to be more of a race where if the Chiefs lose a couple games, they don't even, dude. They just need to make the playoff. We've seen it last year. They don't care. Would they love home field? Absolutely. If they don't, they're not losing any sleep.
They lost to the Raiders at home on Thanksgiving, and 3 months later, we're holding the Super Bowl trophy. It doesn't matter.
No.
They're gonna probably drop a game this year to either the Chargers or the Raiders or the Broncos, and they're gonna be favored big time in all 6 of those games. They're not going 6-0 in them.
No. Okay. Yeah, that was good. We'll continue to monitor.
I do want to say one
these
more thing about the Chiefs. Is it time to signal the alarm on Travis Kelce? I'm getting a little nervous as a fantasy owner.
No, dude. It's like when you go to your grandparents' house and they have like their old car in the garage that they only take out in the summer on nice days. They're just saving him. They're saving him for the stretch run.
I probably shouldn't have drafted him then.
Probably not, but
oh well. I needed to have some Chiefs on my team.
It's okay. All the Swifties, people can't say you're not a Swiftie. You got them on the
Exactly.
Okay. I also pivoting away to a more personal topic. I want to have a recurring segment where just to hold myself accountable, I will announce in the podcast my progress. By the end of football season, I'm going to attempt to run a sub 4:30 marathon. Not like an official race, just me and my Apple Watch on the streets of Santa Monica. Normally, every football season, I swear I just gained 10 pounds because all I do is I watch football for 12 hours a day on Sunday. This year, I will be training. I want it to be known on this podcast. I can provide weekly or bi-weekly updates, but I just want you to know I'm pretty much starting from ground zero. I can run like 4 miles right now, and I'm gonna work my way up to marathon. We can come up with a segment name. Maybe we'll just call it Beast in all caps. I don't know. So that's the segment for right now.
So it's a marathon's 26 miles, right?
Yeah, 26.2. Yeah.
26. Oh, okay. So you want to do it in under 270 minutes divided by 26.2. That's a 10.5 minute
It's
pace.
like it's a 10.5 minute pace exactly. So
Okay.
that would allow me, I guess, to like use the restroom for a sec. Like I don't really know. I've never ran a marathon. Like I've ran a couple half marathons, and I did those. I think it was like an hour 50 and like a 2:05, so kind of around the 2 hour mark. And I remember I did that at like an 8.5 pace. I don't know if I can keep that up for 26.2 miles, but I'm just gonna try to do it. I gotta get in better shape, so why not do it on the pod? So for
So
those of you
here's
listening,
some
welcome.
tips for you. Go get some Lulu
Sure.
shorts so you can get those like the pocket for your phone, so you don't have to wear anything where your phone is moving around, bouncing around. That drives me nuts. And then 2, when you actually attempt the 26 miles, beyond being hydrated, you need to get those goo gels. They'll give you like a second life.
Well, that's what I almost think I need to like meal prep. Like I need to have like peanut butter sandwiches and like bananas. Like I was just like I'll create like a path that's like a 6 mile loop that'll like hit my house every hour or whatever. So that's probably gonna have to be the move. Maybe I'll have you come out and pace me. That should be like the year-end event. You pace me for like the last like 4 miles.
Or I just ride it along next to you on a bike.
That you could do that, yeah, and then we'll end at the Santa Monica Pier, and we'll do a live show from there. It'll be great. We'll make this a whole event.
I'll be tired from biking 26 something miles. That's still a pretty big bike ride, and I'll be exhausted, and I'll be complaining to you, and you'll be like, "Dude, I just fucking ran this."
All right, it's officially on. We're doing this. So yeah, I just wanted to share that. If Slade, I know I kind of surprised you with this. If there's next episode at the end where you wanna partake in a personal journey, you just let us know. All right.
All right.
Okay. Maybe it's read 10 pages every single night of a finance book.
Yeah.
Could be something simple.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, cool. Appreciate everyone listening, especially to our nonsense at the end. But looking forward to another week of football. Just to recap the 6-pack plays here. My 3 NFL plays were Bills team total over 25.5, Green Bay Packers money line, 6-point tees, Bucks down to half point, Niners -1, Bengals -1.5. And then Slade's 3 college football picks: Oklahoma under 24.5, USC Michigan under 44.5, and Kansas money line against West Virginia +106. So looking forward to another profitable week. We're up 6.66 units, which I don't know if that's bad luck. 6.66, sign of the devil. It's time to bump that up a little bit higher. So looking forward to that.
Maybe we'll lose on purpose just to save us.
Yeah, exactly. No, we'll be good. We'll be good. Not worried. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. We'll be back next week, same time next Thursday, most likely. So looking forward to it, and best of luck this weekend. This has been another episode of Bet GPT.